Hello everyone, welcome back to MBOSE High School Science classes. This is Fremont. Today I will be talking on the topic respiration in human. Before I explain on the topic of respiration in human, I want you to have a look with me at how the internal organs are arranged inside our body so that you will be able to understand better on the topic. The head area, the neck region, the shoulder, and the lower abdomen. Between the shoulder and the lower abdomen, you will find there is one red line here. This represents the muscles, and these muscles divide this area from here to here into two equal parts, the upper parts and the lower parts. The upper part is called the chest cavity or the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity or chest cavity means the same thing. Cavity means a room or a pit. And the region below this is called the diaphragm or the belly. In the chest cavity, you will find the heart and the lungs, a pair of lungs. And in the belly, you will find the liver, the stomach, the small intestines, and all other soft organs. Another thing that you need to know is the composition of the blood. You remember in class 9 you studied that the blood consists of three types of cells: the WBC or the white blood cells, the red blood cells, and the platelets. Forget these WBC and platelets. Now let's see only RBC because it is important here in breathing. RBC, it has a hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin gives two things with RBC. One, it makes RBC red, and another thing, it helps RBC to carry oxygen and also carry carbon dioxide. Now you look at the molecule of an RBC. The RBC, it looks more or less like this. It's like a dumbbell shaped structure where it is thin in the middle and thick on the outside or on the edge. In oxygen molecule, the shape of the oxygen molecule, it is more or less like this. And carbon dioxide molecule, the shape of the carbon dioxide molecules, it more or less look like this, where C is here dark and oxygen up and down red in color. Now when RBC carry oxygen, it carry oxygen this way. It put one oxygen up and one oxygen down, and this particular shape is called oxyhemoglobin. And when RBC carry this carbon dioxide, it will make a shape which is like this, dark. Here also not bright in color, it's dark in color, there also dark in color. And this particular shape that is made by RBC and carbon dioxide molecule is called carbaminohemoglobin. So let us come back to the topic. In human, the respiration can be divided into two parts. The part A is how the oxygen is supplied, or oxygen supply, that we call breathing. And in the second part, we'll see how the body uses that oxygen that we get from by breathing to do the cellular respiration. First, let's see how do we breathe. There are many parts in the body which help us to breathe, and we can divide it into many groups like airways, and the groups which fall under airways or the pipe through which the air can pass includes the nostril, and the nostril here meaning the hole in the nose, and here you have the nasal cavity, and that cavity extend further to reach here when we call it the trachea. Here the trachea here, And this trachea is then divided, trachea, into two parts. When it reaches at the chest, it divides into two parts, one to the right and the other to the left. And each of these is called bronchus. This is one bronchus and this is another bronchus. And this bronchus, when it enters into the lungs, it will divide itself into many branches. And each of that small branch is called bronchioles. And at the end of these bronchioles, let's see here, and each of these bronchioles will end into a balloon like this. Each of these bronchioles, let's say, it will end into a balloon or into a bag which resembles to a balloon, empty inside, and surrounding the balloon there are so many blood capillaries. And this balloon is called the alveolar sac, or simply alveoli here. And this balloon is called alveolar sac or alveoli, singular alveolus. Beside the airways, like these pipes here, we need also gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen to enter, carbon dioxide to go out. And beside that, we also need other organs to breathe. The other organs that help us to breathe are the rib cage. This is the rib cage from here to here. This is the chest bones. Chest bones here will extend there. And the diaphragm. This diaphragm also help us to breathe. And the muscles. And these muscles do a great part in helping us to do breathing. The exchange of gases between oxygen and carbon dioxide do actually takes place inside the alveoli in the lungs. Now let us have a look on the mechanism of breathing. But before that, try to pause the video and try to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. So let's see with your experience whether you can compare with what you learn here. So some of you might ask the mechanism of breathing. What is the meaning of mechanism? Mechanisms is a step-by-step manner of doing certain thing. Like here, mechanism of breathing is like the step-by-step way of doing the breathing exercise. So in breathing, we have to do two things here. We breathe in and we breathe out. We breathe in and we breathe out. Breathe in means inhalation. Breathe out means exhalation. Inhalation, you take in oxygen, and here you take out carbon dioxide. Look at this diagram. This muscle, you remember the muscle. This is the muscle which separate the lower region and the upper region of our inside body. So during inhalation or during breathing in, these muscles become smaller or contract, and when it contract, it get raised up. You compare the size here. Here it's small, here it like lower down, but here it raised above. And as these get raised, these organs below it also will be raised, and as a result your belly becomes smaller a little bit. And when everything get raised up, this chest, the shoulder and the chest also become expanded, and when it become expanded, the inside or the cavity here, the thoracic cavity, become bigger, and as a result these lungs also get more space, and so they too expand. And when they expand, the oxygen or the air which is rich in oxygen will get rushed. They will rush through this pipe to trachea, enter into the into the lungs until they reach to the alveoli. And when they move in, they move at a very great speed. You see the color here is red. And they fill the entire sac here with oxygen. And this oxygen then move out of this sac and get attached with the capillaries here. Get attached with the RBC in the capillaries, if you remember. And you see the black color here in the capillaries, those are the carbon dioxide. Once the oxygen enter and reached into the capillaries or the RBC has to take that oxygen, and in that process they forgot the carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide then get dropped, fall back, they fall down into this sac, onto this bowl. Check this diagram here. You see, after some time you will find that the entire bag here become filled with carbon dioxide. So this is the time that has to be exhaled or breathed out. So during breathing out, what happened? These muscles become expanded, this area here become bulges out, and this area here also become contract, and you see the lungs become smaller. And during contractions, the carbon dioxide molecules will move out, pass through these bronchioles, then they pass to that pipe and they move out and get thrown out into the environment in the form of CO2. So let's come back to this diagram that you have seen before. You see, when the oxygen enter into the capillaries, these capillaries they will take, the blood there in the capillaries, they will take that oxygen into the heart, and from the heart it will flow through the arteries to the different parts of the body. Say like this is an artery. You see in this diagram, this is the RBC which has no oxygen. This one, let's say one or two maybe they carry carbon dioxide, but this one, this particular one, it carries oxygen. So this oxygen it has to carry to reach into the cells. And at the same time, you see there are so many other structures because the blood carry the food also, then the other substances too. So once it reached near the cells, it will throw away this oxygen, and that oxygen get entered into the cell, cytoplasm of the cell, and from the cytoplasm that oxygen will enter into the mitochondria. Okay, so inside the cells, inside this cell, the glucose molecules will be broken into pyruvate, and that pyruvate will enter into the mitochondria, and in the mitochondria there is an oxygen. So the oxygen will burn that pyruvate to produce carbon dioxide, water, and release energy in the form of ATP. So this process here is respiration, whereas everything that has taken place here is just breathing. So breathing and respiration, they are different. I think you can remember, breathing and respiration are different. While breathing means just the exchange of gases here, the exchange of gases with the help of the lungs, with the help of nostrils and trachea, whereas respiration is the use of that gas or oxygen to burn the glucose molecules to produce energy. Now let's check the differences between breathing and respiration. Point number 1. Breathing is a physical process. It helps only just to exchange the gases. As you have seen, it is physical process because you only required your nostril, trachea, lungs, and alveoli, everything done physically. Whereas respiration is a biological process which involves the use of that gas, that oxygen that was brought in to burn or to fire up the food molecules like glucose to produce energy. And point number 2, it requires energy to do that flattening of the stomach and raising muscles. You need energy, so breathing requires energy, whereas respiration produces energy because it burns glucose to produce ATP. And point number 3, breathing is extracellular process. It does not involve with the cells. It is outside the cells, whereas here it is intracellular. Respiration takes place inside the cells, in the cytoplasm and the mitochondria. So with that, you perform these exercises. Question number 1, what is breathing? Question number 2, what is the rate of breathing in human under normal condition? And number 3, explain the mechanism of breathing. And number 4, write the differences between breathing and respiration.